Okay, so today we'll start with the rest of the section. That is, we were in the activity diagram section, and we have just discussed about its introductory part, its purpose, and the symbols. Today, we'll be considering few situations or conditions, and based on those conditions, we'll draw few diagrams. So before starting with drawing the diagrams, I'll just revise activity diagram words about its symbols. Then we'll take various situations and we'll start drawing it. And I'll be giving you a few situations so that you'll also draw and you can share those diagrams with me over the chat box. So I'll just share my screen. First, we'll revise the activity diagram once, and then we'll proceed with drawing its different diagrams based on different situations or scenarios which has been given to us. So in the last class, we have already discussed about the activity diagram, that it is like a flow chart which represents the flow of one activity to another. Okay, and it helps in describing the operation of the system. And we saw the purpose of activity diagram is it captures the dynamic behavior of the system. How is it behaving? And with the help of the message flow, it shows that how one activity is interacting with another activity, or how they are connected or related with each other. In the same time, it shows the sequence of the activity, how they are being taking place, whether they are parallel, whether activity is being branched, or some concurrent flow is going on. Now we saw that the important elements of the activity diagram is activities, associations, and conditions. Symbols used to draw this diagram is this represents the individual activity, this represents the decision, this class or object. If an activity is called inside another activity, except an event, okay, this shows a particular point in time. This is sending signal. This is the message flow, merge node, fork. When there is a horizontal line, we have a one single input and it gets divided into multiple outputs. Initial node, final node, parallel termination, activity partition, and join when we have two or more inputs and a single outputs. Okay. Now, using these symbols, we would draw various diagrams, we would consider various situations, and we'll see how we can do this. Okay, so let's take the first situation for today's activity diagram. Let's we want to reserve a room in a hotel. So we are trying to do the online reservation. We have visited the website of the particular hotel where we can see the information of the rooms available, the charges, the facilities, and everything. And we are trying to reserve a room for us. Okay, so I will show you how this diagram, this activity diagram, can be drawn in two different ways. So the first would be activity diagram. Okay, let's see first one for hotel reservation system. So first I'll show this diagram in the basic form, then using the partition, activity partition symbol, I'll show how we can draw the same thing in a different manner. So we'll start with it. Okay. So as we know, if this solid circle symbol is being used to start, so it shows the start. Now when we are in the website, okay, either if we are a new customer, so we have to register as we are looking for the hotel reservation. For sure we may not be having an account. If we have an account, we can log in. Otherwise, if you're not having, account registered, so we'll be creating or registering, okay, registration, so that the account is created, registration, and we'll use a rectangle with soft ends, okay, curvents. Next would be after registration we would be allowed to log in. Okay, now after login, we may have several conditions where we have to decide what should be done. So we'll check whether the rooms are available or not. Okay, so a decision box, if not available, okay, not available, and when the rooms are available. So if rooms are not available, we'll get a message on the screen that no rooms. Okay, and if it is available, what we'll do, we'll be selecting the rooms. So the activity would be select rooms. Okay, now once the room is selected, okay, it would ask us for payment. So here we can draw this in different way, different forms. Here I can first write payment. Okay, now in payment it would ask, okay, there would be different ways to do the payment. That is whether you want to use debit, credit, or online payments, okay, whatever you feel like, okay. Or otherwise, to make it a simple diagram, we can just have that the hotel has an option of only credit card, for example, okay. So directly we can say after the room select, we are going for the payment, and it only asks us for credit pay, okay, credit card. So we have taken this option. Let's keep the diagram simple. We can make them more activities and more complex also. Now, after the credit card details are being entered, okay, so it checks whether the pin entered is correct or not, okay. So we can have one more decision. Pin not correct. Okay. So we can say it as invalid. And if the pin entered is correct, if we have correct pin, so we'll say that means when the pin is correct, payment is confirmed. So we'll get a confirmation report. So generate confirmation report. Okay. Now, so again, there would be a decision box whether you want to generate this confirmation report in which form. Okay, either you may go for email, you may select for text message or WhatsApp message. Okay, so after selecting these activities, it would be ended. So we'll have a solid circle with an outline circle. Okay, so this would be the activity diagram, a simple activity diagram. We can make it more complex and we can have more and more activities in this. So this is the very simple and basic type of activity diagram for hotel reservation system. Now The same can be drawn using activity partition. Okay, just in this you can see a single flow of the messages is there. Okay, activities are there, and activities are being is going on in a sequence. Yes, who is this?
Ma'am, below, ma'am, you draw two ways. For
Hmm.
to ma'am, it will be from email and from message, na? The end part
Huh?
will go.
Yes.
You draw from the decision diagram. तो वो how
Huh?
मतलब so it is how it is working there.
Means I
The
did not.
last part.
I did not understand your question.
Ma'am, the last part. Yeah, this one.
हाँ, यहाँ पे
मैम यहाँ पे
डिसीजन होगा. ओके, आफ्टर द
हाँ
कंफर्मेशन रिपोर्ट इज जनरेटेड इट वुड आस्क द सिस्टम वुड आस्क क्या आपको ईमेल चाहिए वेदर यू आर लुकिंग फॉर ईमेल और यू आर लुकिंग फॉर टेक्स्ट आइदर ऑफ द कंडीशन वुड बी ट्रू. ये ट्रू होने के बाद द प्रोसेस वुड बी एंडेड. यू विल एंड यू विल योर कंप्लीट योर रजिस्ट्रेशन प्रोसेस.
मैम तो वो ईमेल से हो जाएगा ना एंड तक.
नहीं, as such, see, this is not wrong. You can draw it in this way, or you can have partial termination of the activity here. As you remember the symbol, कि अगर हमें कोई इंडिविजुअल एक्टिविटी मेन क्योंकि पूरा प्रोसेस यहाँ पे खत्म हो रहा है. अंडरस्टूड? When we start
Yes, ma'am.
drawing any activity, so this symbol shows the end of whole activity, all the processes. तो ये final end है.
Yes. Okay,
still
समझ गए आप.
still you have confusion, or if you are
No,
having
ma'am.
confusion I can draw it in a this way. ठीक है. इसके बाद any of the process whichever the user will select. Okay, so we can have just a second. I'll not take this one. If I have selected for, suppose I have selected for email, okay, and this one no, so the next active would, activity would be download receipt, and next would be end. So like this also we can draw. Now is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there are different ways. वो वाला भी गलत नहीं था because it shows after the selection the whole process, the whole activity is completed. The further you don't have any option. Okay, so that is also correct, or you can modify this diagram in this particular way also. Okay, now I'll show the same diagram using activity partition. If you remember, for the activity partition, we have a symbol like this, and on the top, we write about the things which are being participating, and here we'll be writing the name of the activity diagram, and here they will have different symbols which would be interacting with each other. Okay, so let's draw the activity diagram using activity partition symbol for this hotel reservation system. Okay, now here who all would be involved in this activity diagram. Okay, for the hotel reservation, let's see. Using activity partition, we'll draw this. Using activity partition. Okay, So let's see how we can draw this. So the activity here is hotel reservation system. Okay, now how many partitions we can have? As we are talking about the hotel reservations, so the first partition can be of customer. Okay, second would be the system. Okay, and third can be admin. Now you may have doubt that ma'am has taken three partitions. Now you can skip this system and you can directly have interaction of a customer with an admin. Okay, it depends totally on you how you are designing your project, how you want to elaborate it, or how you want to explain it. Okay, so let me make these activities and it would be clear and it would be easy for you to understand how we can make this. So I'll just draw partitions. Okay, we'll have partitions like this. Now the first would be, this activity would be started by the customer. So we'll make a start symbol here. Okay, the first thing the customer would do would go and visit the website inquiry. He would do the inquiries, so we can say visit website and inquiry. So I'll just write visit website. Okay, after visiting the website he would do certain inquiries. So inquires about room availability and all. So I'll just write inquires about. Now you can write whatever room or facilities, anything. Okay, like this. Now, when he would be doing inquiries, okay, so you would see when that time system would automatically suggest you for varieties of the rooms available, their charges, their facilities, or the discounts which can be provided. So what we can write here, the activity from the system. Okay, system provides suggestion for room. Okay, means in this what all rooms are available, what would be the facility available, those all things we have included. Otherwise we'll have so many activities based on a certain room, what would be the charges, what would be the facilities, we can elaborate it how much as we can. Okay, totally depends on us. Now what would be the activity of the admin here? Now the admin role would be update. He'll keep on updating the website. Okay, he would keep on updating the availability or the status of the rooms. So what we can write here, that we can write add room details, or it can be update room status. Okay, so this activity would be connected with this. Okay, if the system is providing you some suggestions, so first system would uh, who from where it would get data, it would get data from the admin who is updating, who is time to time updating the availability of the rooms. Okay, whether the rooms are being booked or not, whether they are available, all things. Okay, then only it can provide various suggestions for you. Now based on these suggestions, okay, the customer would inquire about the particular room. Okay, you have given so many suggestions to the customer. Now customer would be inquiring about the room he wants. Enter required room detail. Whichever room he has selected, he would fill that he is looking for that particular room and the payment would be this. Now, after he has entered the details of the room, what would be done? Okay, so system would check once again whether the room is available or not. Okay, so the decision check room availability. Okay, if it is not available, suppose no, because by the time many people are trying to book, before room availability, we'll just make the account. Okay, as we have to register the customer, we cannot simply provide rooms to the customer. So check registered customer or not. So we'll write here check registered customer. Okay, because he has to create account and fill his details. So if no, then he would create his account or ID. Okay, if the customer is already having account, okay, is having ID, so automatically the details which he has filled, okay, so the room would be assigned room. Okay, after assigning the room, the system would generate invoice generated. And after the invoice is generated, the customer receives it, receive invoice. If he wants to download, he downloads it. Okay, and the process would be whole activity would be completed. So this would be the complete activity diagram using activity partition. So this is the diagram would look like this. Would be and like this. Okay. So this would be the complete diagram of hotel reservation using activity partition. Okay, now this is your choice whether you want to go for activity partition or whether you want to go for the simple. Okay, it totally depends on you. And if it is asked in the question, various situation whether you have to draw the particular diagram using activity partition, then you have to draw it using this symbol. Okay, should have several partitions among whom the activity, the conversation, the message flow is going on, and the activity 1, 2, 3, and thus the sequence of activities are being carried out. Okay. Now, I would give you a situation where you have to draw activity diagram for a game system. You want to play a game and you have to draw this using activity partition. Okay, so just try and tell me, then I'll try it. I'll draw it from my side and show it to you. So you have to draw for game system means you are trying to play a game. Okay, play game using activity partition. So just draw and let me know whether you are able to draw it or not. So then I'll be drawing this with simple activities, with basic steps. Okay. Then it is up to you how deeply you can draw it, how many more activities, sub activities for and join you can use. So just draw it from your side and let me know. Share it in the chat box. Okay, so is there anyone who has done this, who has tried to attempt this one and has drawn the activity diagram using activity partition? Anyone?
Ma'am, only layer and system would work?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
okay.
yes, it would work. Yes, बोलो कौन बोल रहा है? Who is this? Gaurav, you are saying something? Okay, is there anyone who's done with this question? You can share with me in the chat box if you are done. Okay, so I'll just draw it for you. Okay, it can be gameplay or game system. Okay, I'll have partitions as user, or you can name it as player, and the other partition would be game system or just system. Okay, so here we can start. We can use this start symbol. Then we can say that uh, create account or register account. Okay, so the user would register or create account. After register, would log in. After login, he will get an option where he can start playing. Okay, so he will click on play button. Now when he clicks on play button, he would get several options from the game system. He would select the type of game. Okay, whichever in the game there would be certain characters. He would go for character. Okay, so he would select those characters. If he selects, okay, he may use activity, that is arrow buttons, up arrow or down arrow. And if he does not select, so he'll just try to move ahead. Okay, so here we can draw as move ahead. Now here I have drawn it like this. So after selecting arrows button, he can start playing. So here you can add that saying that in a playing mode, you are playing game. Okay, the activity would be playing like this. You can have more options. Now the system, as the player is moving ahead, so the system would have some obstacles, some enemies, something of that sort. So we can just say obstacle. Okay, so whenever an obstacle comes, so the player activity would be he would use some button. For example, I'll just write a space button. Okay, space button, enter button, A, B, X, any button, using which the space button, using space button, uh, user or player would try to escape from that particular obstacle. He would try to jump or move left or right. Okay, now the next activity would be if after the space button, okay, the activity was that maybe player moved left, okay, moved left. After moving left or after pressing the space button, okay, moved left, we can say that. Okay, so he got escaped. If by chance the player could not escape from before as the obstacle appeared, and he could not escape, he collided with the obstacle or the obstacle touched, and the game would be over at that situation. Okay, so here we can have a decision box. Now space button press yes, moved left, no, then game would be over. So here I can add an decision box like this first. Okay, we can have a decision box. Okay, I'll make it like this. If it is yes, okay, but if it is no, so what would happen? Okay, so here we'll have an option. Player died and the game would be over. Okay, so we can say the next activity would be game over. Okay, now I've taken very few steps. You can make them more in detail by adding more activities. Okay, I'll just draw the complete diagram. So this would look like this. Okay, so this would be a proper diagram for the game system or gameplay system, where we can have a partition user and player, and there are different activities which are being taking place. Okay, so these are different ways how you can draw activity diagram. Okay, so is there any doubt? Okay, so I guess there is no doubt, so I would end up the class then. If there is anyone who is attending the class who has drawn the diagram, yeah, Okay, so we have submitted this and know the diagram is correct. And but you can do one more modification is that you have used twice the and symbol. Okay, after the decision box, you can have those terminals and they can be connected in the single output unit. Okay, that it could be done. And I have seen you have used the symbol of activity calling another activity, so that's very good. Okay, so others can also try and they can share their diagrams with me. Okay, so I'll just download the attendance and end up the class. If you have any doubt, you can ask. And I hope you all are submitting the assignments. So by this Wednesday, try to complete all the assignments and submit. Then this Wednesday, I'll be giving you new questions. Okay, sir. Okay, then you can leave the class. Thank you for being in the class.
Thank you, ma'am.